Welcome back to Grill Nation. I'm your host, Jason Grill, alongside our new contributor and monthly guest co-host, Andrew Bash. You're doing a good job, Andrew.
Thanks for the vote of confidence. I really appreciate it.
You're in the top 5 of all-time guest co-hosts we've had.
Since there's been 3 so far, that's awesome.
We appreciate you listening to us today on the KMBZ Business Channel. I want to mention quickly before we get into our next interview, which we're very excited about. The Kansas City Source Link is having a battle of the brands. Sarah Moat, their marketing director, sent me an information press release on this championship they're having with Kansas City Entrepreneurship. Go to kcsourcelink.com. There's 64 different companies that are a mix of iconic KC brands and feisty upstarts who will vie for votes in a head-to-head online combat. One brand will be selected as the champion of the Kansas City Entrepreneurship. And that information, and there's more information on that at kcsourcelink.com. I believe the tournament has started. It kicked off March 2nd, and it will go through the basketball tournaments here coming up shortly. Our next guests on Grill Nation we've had Mindy on before. She's a friend of the former show we had. We have Mindy Hart from Make48, who is the event director at Make48, which will be an event. They're going to have a big event coming up here in April, which we're going to get into. And then we have Kurt McMillan from the Inventor Center of Kansas City. He's the president with us here in studio today. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you.
So fun to be back.
It is. You're back in studio at the new Grill Nation
At
show.
the new Grill Nation. There you
Same
go.
studio, same people, but new name.
A lot of fun.
So, guys, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at the Inventors Club of Kansas City and at Inventor Center. Inventor Center of Kansas City. Sorry, guys. And at Make48.
Yeah, it was the Inventors Club, so you're not too far off.
I don't keep saying that.
It's what it was up until just a couple of years ago, and they rebranded and became Inventor Center. But I'm the president of Inventor Center of Kansas City, which is our local Inventors Club. Has been since 2004 is when it was organized and became
Which is pretty long. That's a good run.
Absolutely, yeah. Just completed a 10-year run and into the 11th year. It's an organization that once people find out, they tend to stick with and come around and stay with us. But a lot of people still don't know about it, but they're finding out. The inventor space is really starting to grow. And so we're getting a lot of people turning out now to the meetings, and it's growing. And it's an organization it's a nonprofit, 501c3 here in town. It's a organization serving as a resource to inventors and entrepreneurs at every stage. So we invite them to come to our monthly meetups. And
I was going to ask you about that. When do you guys have those? And they're at Kaufman Foundation?
They are at Kaufman Foundation.
We've had a very Kaufman Foundation show today, haven't we, Andrew? There's been a lot of talk about it.
It's a great place and does a lot for the city, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. And I know it's hard to have a discussion around entrepreneurship or anything related, and Kaufman doesn't somehow enter the conversation stream. Yeah, it's at Kaufman Foundation the third Tuesday of every month from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And we have usually about 80 to 85 or so on average that turn out for meetings.
And it's at night, which is good.
It's in the evenings, which is different than a lot of the meetups. Certainly different than 1 Million Cups, but in kind of in a similar vein, we have 3 speakers usually every meeting, a couple of hotshot people that we bring in that will, inventors that will talk about what they're doing, and they come in at various stages, and then a main keynote that will come in and talk. Unlike a lot of inventor clubs and some of the meetups around town, we're free, always have been. We have refreshments.
And you live stream it.
And we do. We live webcast.
I'm a little worried about that because I've heard about who your next guest is next week. So. The co-founder of Sock 101. I'm going to have to watch that live stream.
Might resemble that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. You do a live stream too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think we're about the only inventors club in the country that does a live webcast of its meetups, which I think has helped greatly over the years in expanding our footprint.
And so you guys and Mindy, you're going to be doing a competition called Make48. Tell us about that, Mindy, and what that is.
Make48 is the first event of its kind. It's an inventors competition where we will have 12 to 15 teams from around the country that will come into Kansas City and compete. These are teams of 2 to 4 people, and we will announce the challenge of the weekend on Friday afternoon about 3 p.m., and then they have 48 hours to invent something pertaining to the challenge.
How do you decide? Are there 100 people or 100 teams that try to get into it, and you whittle it down, or what's the process?
Yeah, there's an application that they've filled out. We've evaluated the applications, and based on various aspects of their app and the information they provided.
And what kind of aspects? Like, what makes this how do you pick one group over another? Personalities or
a little bit of it is personality,
yeah.
Certainly, and then part of it too is we have some people who have invented things before. They're obviously in the space. We know that they're going to bring it. But we want a variance, so we've got some people who are
awesome.
novice as well.
And one of the things that your listeners are going to want to know, they may be sitting there thinking, well, I'm an inventor. I want to participate. Is it too late? We are actually going to close the application process on March 15th and make the final selection on March 17th for the final team. So there's still a little bit of time to get online and put in your application if you are an inventor that wants to participate.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I think what's going to be unique about this, and it's our inaugural event, so we'll see how it goes, but we expect big things, is that unlike a hackathon, let's say, or a startup weekend, we're asking these teams to produce something physical around their ideas. So we're looking for
feels like.
Look and feel prototype. Which will be unique. So unlike a digital app, we're going to ask them to utilize tools to create a physical look and feel prototype within that 48-hour period to represent their idea. So they'll use, we've got a fabrication lab at Union Station where this is going to take place, and we have 3D printers and CNC machines and a lot of materials and tools for them to work with. And we'll leave it up to them on how they'll create it, but we're asking them by Sunday to have a physical prototype.
Now, the great thing about this is he said inaugural event. That means we're going to do this again. And how we're going to do that is in the fall, we are going to go to one more city in 2015. 2016, we're planning to go between 3 and 5 other cities, with Kansas City being the championship round of those inventor teams. So pretty exciting on where we're going with Make48.
Yeah.
There's even rumor that we may be looking at international competition down the road.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you guys will be doing this on April 17th, 2015 at Union Station at 9 a.m. It kicks off.
Right. Yeah. The 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's that entire weekend. On April 17th, that is what we're calling our Creators Kickoff, and it's a day of keynotes. So we're going to have several speakers come in.
Yeah, I see those on the website, which is at make48.com. I'll just mention some of those for our listeners. Neil Sharma from DEG, Scott Browning from Hallmark. You have different. You have an attorney, Cameron Garrison from Lathrop and Gage. Different media personalities. You have a good list. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think
Christine
a good
Garden has been on the Entrepreneur KC show with U-Chick. U-Chic, is it U-Chic?
Yeah, U-Chic.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I said U-Chick and she got mad at me.
And you did it again. Oh my gosh, you didn't learn your lesson.
She's mad right now. She's very angry.
I think a couple of the guys that'll be really interesting are coming in from out of town. Stephen Key is our headliner.
Okay.
He's the creator of Invent Right. He's an author of 3 books, one called One Simple Idea. He has licensed over 20 products and is kind of a licensing guru and has been here to Kansas City before. And he is just super dynamic, has a lot to share, and he'll be headlining for us. And then we have TJ Hale, who's coming in from Phoenix, and he runs an online show called the Shark Tank Podcast. Mm-hmm. He interviews all the contestants from Shark Tank, as well as the sharks themselves, the production crew. And he just put out a book called The Ultimate Guide to Being on Shark Tank. And he's going to come in and...
He's made a career out of Shark Tank. Yes. He's made a career out of a TV show.
Opportunistic entrepreneur. We love those.
Yeah.
So maybe one of your inventors can be on Shark Tank one day. Who knows?
There you go. One of the things about Friday is there's still tickets available. There's only 200 tickets that are being sold to hear all of those speakers and get their expertise. I mean, certainly when you have someone that's going to come in and talk about patent law from Lathrop and Gage, you've got a heavy hitter. So we've really worked hard to have heavy hitters all day long.
Cameron has had to put up with my 2:00 in the morning phone calls. What about this? Would this work?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And he answers the
Poor
phone.
guy. No, it's not. It's only 2 if he's been drinking. No,
And then, of course, that announcement of the challenge at 3 p.m., that is going to be the key. That is going to be when the competition really starts and the excitement starts, because then they literally will spend 48 hours sleeping, breathing their invention to present that on Sunday at about between 3 and 4 o'clock is when we'll start the judging, and the announcement will be shortly thereafter of the winners. And the winners they'll have a cash prize. They'll be able to have a Kickstarter campaign to actually put this product into production. So it's pretty exciting what their prize package is and what they're going to be able to do with it, with the potential of that product being licensed.
I think it's pretty interesting because you guys are combining all of these different maybe things we've seen, but now it's kind of coming together in a unique way. Because we have seen startup weekends, we've seen maker fairs and stuff like that. Right. So this is kind of, and we've obviously seen a lot of pitches to investors and venture capitalists.
No.
Well, it's great to see it condensed in 48 hours too.
Yeah, it is.
So
And
there's no room for error.
No, there's not. I mean, there's quite a bit of planning, because if you're going to 3D print something, for example, it may take a few hours to print something, and if it's wrong, you may not have enough time to print it again. So you're going to have to put a little thought into the timeline and what you're producing and how you can do it.
And
so I think it'll be a real test of the tools.
And we have teams coming from Canada, from New York, all over the country, as well as local teams. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're excited
that
without a big marketing push, actually. We had a lot of these teams sign up early on, and I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, that we had people outside of Kansas City who found us and
how
signed
does
up
this
right away.
whole concept get start? Like, how did this conversation go? Because this is awesome.
His brain.
Yeah, is that
It
just
was
how
totally
Kurt
Kurt's
works?
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always said I had a big head. Hopefully there's something good in there.
Right.
But yeah, no, with the ICKC, they had done invention contests in the past with Faultless Bonami here in town years ago that were very successful. But it went dormant a few years ago, and we decided, with the new board came on last year, we decided we need to bring an event back. And it needs to be an invention contest, but we need to do something different. So I, along with a couple of my business partners, Rich Brule and Bob Colston, who are also on the board, the three of us said, why don't we take kind of what Jason was alluding to, why don't we take the best parts of, say, a hackathon or a startup weekend and apply that to something something physical, and make this an inventathon, right? And so that's where that was conceived. And
then the Handy Camel came on as the primary sponsor for the event.
What is that?
The Handy Camel, you need to go to thehandycamel.com. It is a bag clip that actually seals your open bags, like your seed, your fertilizer, ice melt, grass seed, anything that you have, and then allows you to also reposition it for a pour spout. And you can toss it on the back of your four-wheeler. You can, yeah, it's an amazing little product. That's the first product that the Handy Camel has released, and there's 4 more slated to be released later in 2015.
I think Andrew's buying one right now.
That's awesome.
I bought a couple.
You seem like a guy that works in the yard a lot. No,
my wife does, and part of our deal is I don't have to. So I've got
That's right.
I've just got her 3 Handy
It
Camels.
holds up to 40 pounds. And so the Handy Camel came on as the primary sponsor, and they actually have selected the challenge for this first inaugural event, which we cannot leak until 3 p.m. on April 18th.
Cool. Yeah. Well, congrats, guys. Kurt McMillan and Mindy Hart, involved with Make48 and the Inventor Center of Kansas City. Check out more information about Make48 at make48.com. Appreciate you guys coming on Grill Nation today and joining us in studio. Congratulations on what you're doing.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
This will be a lot of fun.
Guys.
Be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys check it out April 17th, 18th, and 19th at Union Station. We'll be right back after the break.
I got my records on. I shut the world outside until the lights come on. Maybe the streets are alive.